Hey guys, Anime Gypsy here with another Shokugeki no Soma review. And the reason this is late, some of you guys might already know this, I had a family emergency and there are things I had to attend to, and yeah, just family comes first before the channel, and that's the way it is. Now, in terms of story progression, there are three parts to this chapter. The first one being Tsukasa's backstory, the second one being Rindo's dish, and the third one being Tsukasa's declaration for his dish, it being his specialty. Now, there are four things I want to talk about. Tsukasa's specialty, Rindo, and her dish, the philosophy in Tsukasa's backstory, and Tsukasa's backstory as a whole. Now, Tsukasa's backstory as a whole is the second best backstory in terms of impact. The first one being Joichiro's backstory. And sorry, in terms of execution, what am I saying? It's the second best in terms of execution, the first one being Joichiro's backstory. And it's the third best in terms of impact, the first being Akira Hayama's flashback, second being Joichiro's flashback, and finally the third being Tsukasa Eishi, this flashback. And it executed very well. The scenes, just the art style, the struggle, done very well. The art was phenomenal. Just the panels expressed so much emotion, so much anguish, so much disapproval to the world, in the culinary world, and just the way it is interacting with the community in general. You have people like Tsukasa who work their butts off to create such works of arts that aren't appreciated by people who don't understand it. And you see the struggle on Tsukasa's face and the disappointment. Did I just do this for no reason? Like, really? Am I going to be understood by anyone? Are my expressions not being read? And if so, then what's the importance of those expressions? It's the struggle of an artist. If an artist isn't understood, what's the purpose of your art if it's not understood? Purpose is very important in art and outside of art. And as an artist, and art is basically expression. So as an artist, if you can't be read in terms of expression, then you have failed as an artist. But over here, it's not the fact that he necessarily failed. It's the fact that he's presenting his art to an audience that couldn't understand it because they are not chefs, because they are not culinary masters. And this is what, just the struggle on his face, all that jazz, is something that I really liked in this chapter. It's really been displayed. And it's just also the nonchalant, chill moments in the chapter. You have Tsukasa Eishi eating a hot dog, and that just comes to show you, no matter how gourmet you are, you could enjoy a hot diggity dog. Like that is set in stone now. No matter how gourmet you are, you could enjoy a hot diggity dog. Like, I want to see a panel where stuck up Azami is eating a hot dog. Like that would make my day. That would make my day. Like, true gourmet is exactly like that would make my day. Now, in terms of so the nonchalant, the chill moments, those were great. The sitting back with Azami, just the talking about food, the traveling to America, all this stuff. Very nice, very well executed. The art was amazing. Now the second part is the philosophy. Asami discusses an aspect of his philosophy that we didn't understand previously and explains other aspects of his philosophy that we already knew of. And what I'm talking about is his idea of true gourmet. In this chapter, Azami discusses the fact that the culinary arts aren't endless, and there is such a thing as perfection in the culinary arts, which is something that from a philosophical standpoint I disagree with, from not a culinary perspective but from an artistic perspective, because art, in my perspective as an artist, as a poet, as someone who writes novels, as someone who writes poems and poetry and essays, as an essayist, as a poet, as a novelist, in the making, the first and last two, I actually got published not so long ago. So that aside, as an artist, I disagree with him from a philosophical standpoint, because art is infinite. It's a way of expressing yourself, and you could basically relate it to anything in life and use it to express anything. Just as there is basically a ever so productive amount of words in this world. Words are infinite. They keep being added on every single day. Someone comes up with a new word, it becomes popular, it becomes part of our vernacular. Same thing with food. Spice mixes. You have now genetically altered stuff in terms of spices. You have those insane crossbred peppers. You have all this stuff, and even within the just the traditional culinary medium, within like just basically the traditional ingredients that we all know and love, there is a near infinite variation of the ways you could cook it and the styles you could cook it, and stuff that you keep discovering every single day. So to say that there's such a thing as a limit on art, and there's such a thing as perfection and nothing could be improved upon at a certain point, in my perspective, is ludicrous. Both just simply from an artistic perspective, which also includes the culinary arts, because let's keep it real, the culinary arts are in and of themselves an art. So this is an aspect of Azami that I do agree with. When he says that cooking is an art, well, no shit, it's an art. Every single person who has worked in the arts, who has expressed themselves and really devoted themselves in any form of art, understands that the culinary arts are in fact an art, because it takes expression to create food. It takes an artistic sense to put that food together. So yeah, from that sort of standpoint, I do 100% agree with Azami. Art is food, food is art. Now, this whole categorization of gourmet and perfection with Azami makes it more clear how someone like him could categorize certain types of foods, and basically say that they're rubbish, like Soma's cooking, basically. So if you believe that there's such a thing as perfection, then it just stands to reason that you understand that that you believe that there's such a thing as an inferior sort of style of art, of culinary art. So if you think that there's a certain type of cooking, gourmet, that is above everything else, then it stands to reason that you think that there's a type, not a dish, a type of cooking that is inferior, that is obscene. And again, I think Shokugeki no Soma proved to us time and time again that this is not the case in the series. It's the message in the series. You see Nana, who is a character who had a recipe passed down from generation to generation, a recipe that was basically deemed as being the perfect way of cooking soba. And in comes Yukihira Soma. In comes Yukihira, destroys it like this. Just demolishes Nana and beats her. Easy. At first I thought it was BS, but it's a message. Yuto is trying to tell us a message. He's trying to tell us the difference between perfectionists in the artistic styles, people that think that there is such a thing as perfect in art, and the types of people that think that everything could be built upon. This is the difference that he was trying to explain to us in that panel, in that moment of Shokugeki no Soma, and it comes full round, because again, this is Azami trying to convince Tsukasa that there's such a thing as perfection. There's such a thing as there's such a thing as perfect, basically. Which again, I think as an artist, I cannot believe that there is such a thing as perfect, because once you attain this perfect, there is nowhere else to go. And this is the problem with his philosophy. If there was such a thing as perfect, we would have reached it a while ago, and we wouldn't have advanced beyond that point, because it's perfect. But you have different recipes being developed every single day nowadays. You have different types of ingredients being discovered in the natural world, and through chemical engineering and all that jazz. So no, I'm sorry. from that type of standpoint, I'm sorry, no, there is no such thing as perfect. There is none in the arts. That's why I disagree with Azami. And again, the categorization aspect of this sort of philosophy, where if there's such thing as perfect, there's such thing as inferior, and that whole spiel loops back to Soma, and that's Soma's role to prove to Asami that there is no such thing as inferior cooking, and every single style could have a time to shine. Now, that is philosophy in that section. Now let's go to Rindo. Now Rindo's dish is called mushroom mille fivelle stuffed with duxelles pastry. Now I've had that dish before, not the mushroom part, but the mille feuille, or however you pronounce it. I didn't even know what it was called. I had it before in Egypt. And if memory serves, it was a sweet dish. It was not a savory dish. It was a sweet dish. So Rindo, again, innovating the entire dish, turning it into something that it originally was not, and creating a masterpiece out of it. Kudos to her. The mushrooms and the duxelles. This is the thing about insects in general. And again, we obviously know that she used the formic acid from the ants to create this dish. This is the thing about insects. They are very high in protein. And I wonder if she used more of the insects aside from that particular acid. But who knows? And this is the thing too. Insects are being utilized in the culinary world more often nowadays than any other time, simply because a lot of people are talking about conserving resources, endangered species, and how if we want to be if we want to conserve our resources and still eat meat, insects are a way to go, because a lot of species are going endangered, a lot of species are going extinct. And again, it's also, by the way, insect dishes are popular in some areas of Africa and some areas of South America, as well as Asia. So that's something I wanted to add there. And what else? Yeah, this is all I have to say about Rindo's dish. Pretty nice. Soma's reaction to this, even Soma was like, damn, like, and that says something. If you have Soma saying something like, oh my god, what is this, you're crazy, then there is something wrong with you. Consult your psychiatrist, consult your psychologist, your psychiatrist, and your neurologist, because there is something wrong with you if Soma says that there is something wrong with you, because Soma is a freak. And for him to acknowledge that you're a freak is in and of itself something troubling. So Rindo, you need to get a checkup. You need to get a checkup. Now, again, Tsukasa specialty. Just from looking at it, it looks like some sort of pastry. And again, it would make sense because the appetizer's paste is kind of pastry. So would that mean that the main dish should also be pastry? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna be. The one idea I had, those onion soups that are made inside of like bread, a bread bowl. Like that's what it, that's what it looked like. But I know that that's not gonna happen, because he's gonna have something just we wouldn't expect in his sleeves. Like that's what's gonna happen. So whatever it's gonna be, power level over 9,000 type dish. It's going to be like straight out of Toriko. That's basically what I'm saying. This dish that he's making, this dish that Tsukasa is making, is going to be straight out of Toriko. And I can't wait to see it. So if you like the video, please leave a like. Until next time, guys, this is Anime Gypsy, and I'm out. See you guys later. Bye.